Captain Elias Kane stood on the observation deck of the starship Aurora, staring at the strange, swirling colors of the Velari homeworld below. The planet's surface shimmered like a jewel, rivers of liquid crystal snaking between towering mountains of sapphire rock. He had traveled across countless systems in his career, but nothing prepared him for this moment. The mission was simple in theory: establish peaceful relations, trade knowledge, and secure cooperation. In reality, it felt like walking on the edge of a knife. "Captain," his communications officer, Lieutenant Mara Jin, said softly, "the Velari delegation has arrived at the landing platform." Elias straightened, his hand brushing over the smooth, worn edge of the railing. His mind raced with possibilities. He had read every report on the Velari, an intelligent, reclusive species rarely seen by outsiders. Their society prized harmony and expression, and they had no history of conflict with humans, but also no real interest in human customs. Meeting them face to face was a delicate operation. The landing platform shimmered as the delegation descended. Elias's breath caught as his eyes fell on her, the Velari girl who would change everything. She stepped forward with grace, her skin glowing faintly in patterns that shifted like liquid light. Her eyes were immense, reflecting the colors of the planet, and they seemed to look right through him, piercing every thought he had tried to hide. She paused, her attention clearly on him. Elias felt an unusual flutter in his chest. He had been in many dangerous situations, negotiated with warlords, and faced threats in countless systems. Yet this was different. This was something he could not anticipate. "Captain Kane," she said in perfect basic, the human translation of Velari speech, "I am Lyra. Welcome to our world." Her voice was musical, soft yet firm, carrying a resonance that vibrated through the platform. Elias bowed slightly, conscious of human etiquette but unsure of how to respond to a being so unfamiliar. "Thank you, Lyra. It is an honor to meet you," he said carefully. Then, on a spontaneous impulse, he added, "You are beautiful." The moment he spoke, everything changed. Lyra froze completely. Her glowing skin flickered, patterns rippling across her arms like a sudden storm. Her wide eyes locked on his, and for a heartbeat, the world seemed to hold its breath. Mara shifted beside him, whispering, "Captain, what did you just—" Elias ignored her, fascinated and slightly alarmed. The other Velari observers remained, silent, their expressions unreadable, their glow faint but steady. Only Lyra reacted, and the intensity of her response sent a shiver down his spine. Lyra's lips moved as if to speak, but no sound came. She tilted her head slightly, a gesture that seemed almost human yet profoundly alien. Elias realized that whatever he had said had a power he did not understand. A human word, simple in intent, had provoked a reaction unlike anything documented. A senior Velari official stepped forward, their glow soft and steady, hands raised in a gesture of calm. "It is unusual," the official said, voice resonating like wind over crystal. "The girl is affected." Elias frowned. "Affected? How?" The Velari shook their head. "It is difficult to explain. Some human expressions trigger strong responses in her. This compliment is one." Elias blinked. He had studied alien cultures for years. He had learned to anticipate reactions, to prepare for language, customs, and protocol. Yet here, in this moment, a single word, one word, had halted an entire species member in her tracks. It was humbling, exhilarating, and terrifying. "Captain," Mara whispered, "maybe we should step back?" Elias shook his head. He could not. Curiosity rooted him to the spot. He needed to understand. And more than that, he felt a strange sense of connection to her, a pull he had never experienced before. Lyra finally moved, though cautiously, her body fluid and slow as though emerging from a dream. She raised her hand, tracing a faint arc in the air, and patterns of light shimmered between them. Elias watched, fascinated. It was like a language, but he could not decipher it. The Velari official spoke again. "She communicates in gestures. Observe closely." Elias nodded, mimicking her hand movements slowly. He tried to mirror the arcs of light, the subtle gestures. At first, nothing happened. Then, gradually, her glow softened, the storm in, her patterns calming. She took a small step forward, eyes still locked on his, and Elias felt as if the air itself held its breath. "This is remarkable," Mara said quietly. "No human has ever done this before. You understand her in a way no one else does." Elias smiled faintly, though his heart raced. "I'm trying. That's all I can do. Try." Lyra finally spoke, her words slow, deliberate. "Your words. They are different. You speak with courage." Elias tilted his head. "Courage?" She nodded. "Courage and kindness. Something rare." Her voice was soft, almost a whisper, but the meaning resonated through him. It was more than a compliment or a greeting. It was recognition, an acknowledgement that humans could be more than explorers or invaders, that humans could, perhaps, inspire trust. The senior Velari observed silently, their glow steady. The girl is curious. She has not reacted this way before. It is significant. Elias felt a mix of pride and caution. He could not let his emotions cloud his judgment. This was first contact, not friendship. Yet in the same moment he realized that human qualities, compassion, sincerity, courage, were already bridging a gap that no technology or diplomacy could. The delegation moved forward to continue their formal introductions, but Elias stayed by Lyra's side, careful not to overwhelm her. He asked simple questions, keeping his tone calm. "Where is your home? What do you enjoy doing?" Lyra hesitated, then spoke slowly, her glow pulsing gently. "Our homes are many. I enjoy observation and learning." Elias nodded, smiling. "Then we are alike. I spend most of my life observing, learning, understanding." She tilted her head, and the subtle glow along her face softened further. It was a signal, he realized, of trust. She was letting him in, step by step. The ceremony ended, but Elias lingered. He watched the other Velari depart, noting the elegance of their movement, the serenity in their expressions. Yet his attention always returned to Lyra. She had frozen at a single word, and in doing so she had revealed something profound. Not fear, not hostility, but wonder. And wonder, Elias knew, was the start of every connection between species. Back on the Aurora, Elias could not stop thinking about her. He replayed the moment again and again, analyzing her reactions, trying to understand the complexity of her physiology and culture. But beneath the analysis, there was a simpler truth. He had spoken honestly. He had acknowledged beauty without expectation, without strategy, and it had mattered. Mara watched him silently from the console. "You're thinking too much," she said, half teasing. "But I suppose it's different when the whole galaxy is involved." Elias chuckled, softly. "Maybe. Or maybe it's just human nature. To notice beauty, to react, to connect, even when it seems impossible." Night fell on the Velari planet, painting the sky in shades of violet and sapphire. Lights glimmered along the rivers and mountains, reflecting the glow of the twin moons. Elias leaned on the observation deck, staring out, feeling a strange sense of hope. Humanity had touched a new world, not with weapons, not with dominance, but with something far older: curiosity, courage, and honesty. Lyra's voice echoed in his mind, faint but unforgettable. "Your words, they are different." Elias smiled. Tomorrow they would meet again. And tomorrow he would continue to learn, to bridge the gap, to show that humanity's true power lay not in conquest, but in connection. In the quiet of the alien night, Captain Elias Kane realized something that would stay with him forever. One simple word, spoken with sincerity, could freeze a being across worlds, and in that pause, create a bond that no starship or star system could break. The stars above seemed to hum in agreement, glittering with infinite possibilities. And somewhere in the glow of the Velari world, Lyra's thoughts might be turning toward him, curious and cautious, yet opening, just a little, to the humans who had come to her world, not as conquerors, but as companions. Elias turned back to the console, already preparing for tomorrow's meeting. The mission had begun. The galaxy was watching. And he, a simple human captain, had taken the first step towards something extraordinary. The next morning, the sun rose over the Vailari homeworld, casting long streaks of violet and gold across the crystalline rivers. Captain Elias Kane stood at the edge of the colony's central plaza, watching the alien city stir to life. Towers of iridescent material rose like sculptures from the ground, their surfaces shifting color with the light. The air shimmered faintly, carrying a hum that resonated in the chest and bones of those who walked upon it. Elias had never felt anything like it. Lieutenant Mara Jin approached, her expression a mixture of curiosity and caution. "Captain," she said, "the Vailari have prepared a series of cultural exchanges for us today. I suggest we start with the translation protocols and observation exercises." Elias nodded. "Yes, but first, Lyra." His eyes scanned the plaza, seeking the girl who had frozen at a single word the day before. There she was, standing among the Vailari youth, observing humans from a distance. Her glowing skin was softer than yesterday, the storm of patterns calm and steady. Elias felt a pull in his chest, a mixture of curiosity, admiration, and something deeper he could not yet name. He stepped forward cautiously, aware that the wrong gesture could undo the fragile connection they had begun to build. Lyra noticed him immediately. She froze, her body still for a brief moment before slowly approaching. Her movements were deliberate, graceful, almost hesitant. As she neared, Elias mirrored her steps, careful to avoid any sudden movements. "Good morning, Lyra," he said, softly. "How are you today?" She tilted her head, eyes studying him. Patterns along her arms pulsed gently. "I am observing," she said finally. "You are different." Elias smiled. "Different? In a good way, I hope." Her glow flickered briefly like sunlight reflecting on water. "Yes. Good. Your words carry meaning." He nodded. That was progress. The night's reflection had reminded him that sincerity was the key. The Vailari responded not to grand gestures or force, but to honesty, to emotion carefully conveyed. "Then," he said, "we can continue. I want to understand your people, your culture. Will you help me?" Lyra's eyes widened slightly. She studied him for a long moment before giving a small nod. "I will try, but it is slow." "Slow is fine," Elias replied. "We have time." The first part of the day was dedicated to observation. The humans were allowed to watch the Vailari at work, moving through their city, performing tasks that blended art, science, and ritual in ways humans had never imagined. Every action seemed deliberate, each gesture part of a larger pattern. Lyra guided Elias silently, pointing to machinery, tools, and living organisms with delicate hand motions. She seemed cautious at first, but gradually grew bolder, allowing him to follow her closely. Elias tried to mirror her gestures, and for the first time, he noticed subtle smiles in the Vailari, something that indicated approval. "They respond to your efforts," Mara whispered as she observed from behind. "You're learning their language through movement, and they're learning ours through yours." Elias nodded, focusing on Lyra. "It's remarkable," he murmured. "I've studied alien languages for years, but this is something else entirely." Lyra stopped suddenly at a structure that appeared both organic and mechanical, a tower that seemed alive. She extended a hand, touching its surface gently. Patterns of light flowed from her fingers into the tower, and Elias felt a vibration in the air. Energy. Flow. Control, Lyra said slowly. "We respect balance. Every action affects everything." Elias knelt slightly, trying to comprehend. "Balance. In everything. That's beautiful." Her glow pulsed. Elias realized that using words like beautiful, carefully and honestly, continued to provoke reactions, Not fear, not confusion, but curiosity and engagement. It was a bridge, a way to show understanding without demanding anything in return. Over. The next hours, Elias and Lyra practiced communication. She taught him subtle gestures, the way the Vailari used body movement to express agreement, question, or curiosity. He taught her basic phrases, and slowly, a simple understanding began. During a break, Elias asked her about her world. Lyra, what do you enjoy most about your planet? She hesitated. The patterns on her skin shimmered as if she were thinking hard. I enjoy watching growth. Rivers, forests, people, learning. Elias smiled. Then you and I are alike. I've always loved to watch, to learn. That is why I became a captain, not to conquer but to understand. Lyra's eyes softened slightly. She seemed to consider this carefully. Then, in a gesture Elias had come to recognize as trust, she reached out and allowed him to mimic a small sequence of gestures, a form of Vailari greeting. He tried, fumbling at first, but gradually improved. Her glow brightened in response. A silent approval. It was a breakthrough. Elias felt a thrill. This small step of communication, earned through patience and observation, was proof that humanity's persistence and empathy could cross worlds. By midday, the humans were invited to participate in a shared task, helping the Vailari assemble a network of devices designed to channel natural energy from the planet into the city. Humans and Vailari worked side by side, combining human engineering skills with Vailari intuition and energy manipulation. Elias paired with Lyra. Every motion had to be precise. Every gesture required coordination. At first, there were mistakes. The energy pulses faltered, the devices flickered and dimmed. But Elias persisted, listening to Lyra's subtle corrections, learning to anticipate the rhythm of Vailari motion. Slowly, carefully, Lyra whispered, her glow pulsing softly. Elias nodded. I understand, step by step. Together they succeeded. The devices lit up in harmony, energy flowing through the city in a gentle, shimmering wave. Lyra's patterns glowed brightly, a sign of approval and excitement. Elias felt a surge of pride, not for himself, but for the connection they had forged. The other humans watched in awe. The Vailari delegation nodded, impressed by the cooperation. And in that moment, Elias realized something profound. Humanity's strength lay not just in technology or strategy, but in the ability to connect, to persist, and to show care across boundaries that seemed insurmountable. After the task, Lyra led Elias to a quiet overlook, a platform above the city where the rivers reflected the twin moons. The air was cool, shimmering faintly with energy from the planet below. She gestured for him to sit beside her. Lyra, Elias said gently, thank you. Today, I learned so much from you. She tilted her head, glowing softly. And I, from you. You try, even when it is difficult. Most humans do not. Elias chuckled softly. We may not always get it right, but we try. That is what makes us human. Her eyes studied him, and he noticed a flicker of something almost like understanding. Empathy, perhaps, or recognition of effort. She raised a hand and traced a pattern in the air, creating a small arc of light. Your words affect more than actions. Elias paused. He understood her meaning. Honesty, sincerity, and emotion could carry further than any tool or device. One simple word yesterday had frozen her, but it had also opened a door. Today, their shared effort had strengthened the bond. Then I will continue to speak carefully, he said with a small smile, and continue to try, with patience and care. Lyra's glow pulsed rhythmically, almost like a laugh. Elias realized that she was expressing something beyond words. Trust, curiosity, and perhaps the beginnings of friendship. As the moons rose higher, casting twin shadows over the city, Elias and Lyra sat in companionable silence. They watched the energy flow through the city, the harmony of technology and nature, and for the first time, Elias felt a profound sense of hope. This mission, which could have been fraught with danger and misunderstanding, was instead opening a new chapter for humanity. Not through force, not through dominance, but through empathy, patience, and a willingness to connect. And Lyra, the alien girl who had frozen at a single word, was teaching him that understanding could bridge worlds. Elias knew that tomorrow, they would face new challenges, new tests of patience and skill, but for today they had learned the first lesson. Even across the vastness of space, two beings from different worlds could understand each other if they tried, if they cared, and if they spoke with honesty. As night settled over the Vailari city, Elias reflected on the day's lessons. He had always believed that humanity's greatest strength was its courage, its ingenuity. Now he realized it was also its heart, the capacity to connect, to show respect, and to persevere. And somewhere in the glowing patterns of Lyra's skin, he saw the promise of a future where humans and Vailari could work together, where understanding could flourish, and where even a single word spoken with sincerity could change everything. The next day dawned bright and clear over the Vailari city, the crystalline towers reflecting light in waves of soft violet and gold. Captain Elias Kane awoke aboard the Aurora with a sense of anticipation. Today would be different. He felt it, in his chest. Yesterday had been about observation and understanding, small steps in communication. Today he hoped to make a real connection, not just through gestures or technology, but through something deeper, something that transcended words. Lieutenant Mara Jin joined him on the observation deck, her eyes scanning the city below. "Captain," she said, "Lyra has requested a private session with you. She wants to continue the exercises from yesterday, but alone." Elias's pulse quickened. He had been expecting moments like this, yet when they arrived, they carried a weight he had not anticipated. "Very well," he said. "I will meet her, but we proceed carefully. Remember, Mara, trust is fragile." Mara nodded. "I know, but you've proven capable so far. I think she likes you." Elias allowed himself a faint smile. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. The platform where they were to meet was quiet, elevated above the city, overlooking the shimmering rivers that curved between the towers. Elias arrived first, pacing slightly as he waited. When Lyra appeared, his breath caught. She moved with her usual grace, yet there was an unusual intensity in her glow today, as if her patterns pulsed in rhythm with her thoughts. "Lyra," he said softly, bowing slightly in respect. She paused, studying him. Then slowly she stepped forward, her eyes fixed on his. The air between them seemed to hum with quiet energy, alive in a way Elias could feel in his bones. "You are here," she said. Her voice was softer than yesterday, more intimate, as if the words carried weight beyond their literal meaning. "I am," he replied. "I promised I would. And I am ready to continue learning from you." Her glow flickered, a wave of emotion that Elias had learned to recognize as curiosity mingled with cautious trust. She gestured for him to follow, leading him to a small courtyard enclosed by crystal walls. The light refracted in colors he could not name, and the air vibrated faintly with energy. Once they were alone, Lyra stopped. She looked at Elias, eyes wide, as if she were trying to measure his intentions with a depth that went beyond human perception. Yesterday, your words," she said slowly. "They froze me." Elias nodded, recalling the moment vividly. "Yes, I did not expect that reaction, but I'm glad it happened. It taught me more than I could have imagined." Lyra's glow pulsed gently. She took a step closer, but then hesitated. Elias mirrored her caution, careful not to rush her. "I do not speak easily," she said finally. "Words are dangerous for me. They carry power." Elias listened closely. "I understand. Words have power for humans too. They can hurt, they can heal, they can inspire. But when spoken honestly, they can create bridges even between worlds." Lyra's pattern shifted in a slow wave of light as if considering his statement. Then, without warning, she leaned slightly closer and whispered a phrase in Vailari. Elias froze, straining to catch even a fragment. The words were soft, melodic, carrying a cadence that made his chest tighten. He could not understand the meaning. But the intent was clear. Admiration, recognition, and something more profound. Lyra pulled back slightly, her glow flickering with uncertainty. I cannot fully translate, she admitted. But it is for you. Only you. Elias's heart raced. In all his experience, across countless systems and cultures, no alien had ever spoken something meant solely for him, carrying intent so personal and direct. I thank you, he said, struggling to convey gratitude in a way he hoped she could understand. Your words, they mean more than I can express. She studied him for a long moment. The energy between them vibrated softly, a resonance that Elias felt in his chest. He realized then that this was more than curiosity or trust. It was the beginning of a bond, a connection that spanned the gulf of species, language, and experience. The morning passed with careful interaction. Lyra guided Elias through more complex gestures and exercises, teaching him subtleties of Vailari communication he had not yet grasped. She moved slowly, correcting him gently, allowing him to learn through repetition. Each success elicited a flicker of glow along her skin, a silent affirmation of understanding. During a break, Elias asked a question he had been holding back. Lyra, yesterday when I called you beautiful, you froze. Can you tell me why? Lyra's eyes widened slightly. Patterns along her arms shifted in a series of soft waves. Beauty is powerful. It draws attention. It exposes truth. Humans, words, are different. You spoke honestly, not to manipulate, not to claim. That is unusual. Elias nodded. He understood then why his simple compliment had such an impact. The Vailari were sensitive not only to words but to intent, to the truth behind them. To be honest was rare, even remarkable. I see, he said softly. Then I will continue to speak honestly. Always. Her glow brightened slightly, a silent acknowledgement of his vow. Elias realized that this was trust in its purest form. Not blind trust, but a recognition that he intended no harm, that he sought understanding above all else. By midday, the Vailari invited the humans to participate in a shared project, building a network of reflective devices designed to harness sunlight and energy from the twin moons. Humans and Vailari worked side by side, combining engineering skill with intuitive energy manipulation. Elias paired with Lyra once more. Together they handled delicate equipment, balancing precise calculations with careful observation of energy flows. Every motion had to be coordinated. A single mistake could disrupt the flow entirely. At first, Elias struggled. His hands were steady but untrained in Vailari energy work. Lyra moved beside him, correcting his motions with delicate gestures, guiding him with patience. Her glow shifted with every correction, a visual language of approval and encouragement. Slowly, carefully, she whispered. I understand, Elias replied, step by step. Gradually, the devices aligned, absorbing energy and reflecting it across the city in shimmering arcs of light. Lyra's patterns pulsed brightly, a sign of approval and excitement. The other Vailari observed silently, impressed by the cooperation between human and alien. Elias felt a swell of pride, not for himself, but for the bond they were building. He realized that humanity's greatest strength lay not in weapons or technology alone, but in the ability to connect, to empathize, and to persist across barriers of culture and biology. As the project concluded, Lyra led Elias to a secluded terrace overlooking the city. The air was cool and tinged with the faint hum of energy flowing through the towers. She gestured for him to sit beside her. Lyra, Elias said softly, I cannot express how much your words yesterday meant to me. They touched something deep within. Her eyes reflected the twin moons, patterns of light shifting like waves. And you listened. You did not dismiss. Most humans would not understand. I try, Elias replied. I try to understand, to learn, and to show respect. That is what I believe humans can offer. Lyra's glow brightened further and she traced a small pattern in the air, arcs of light forming and dissolving. Your words, actions, are different. That matters. You show courage and heart. Elias felt a warmth spread through him, a deep resonance of connection. The words were simple, yet their meaning carried weight beyond translation. She had acknowledged his sincerity, recognized his effort, and shared a piece of herself in trust. In the quiet of the night, with the city glowing below, Elias realized that this bond, small, fragile, and extraordinary, was a seed of hope. Humanity could reach across the stars not only with tools or ships, but with empathy, honesty, and courage. Lyra, he said, I will continue to learn. I will continue to speak honestly. And I will continue to try to understand your people. She tilted her head slightly, her glow softening, a gesture he had come to recognize as approval. And I will teach, slowly, carefully, together. For a long moment they sat in silence, watching the energy flow through the city. Elias thought of the compliment that had frozen her, of the whispered words that had reached him today. Across the vastness of space, across differences of species, language, and culture, something extraordinary was happening. Two beings, human and Velari, were beginning to understand each other. Elias knew that challenges lay ahead. Misunderstandings, cultural differences, and danger from beyond the planet could threaten what they were building. But for now, there was hope. For now, there was trust. For now, there was connection. And as the twin moons rose high, casting their glow across the crystalline city, Elias felt a certainty he had never known. Humanity's heart, the capacity to care, to persevere, to connect, was a force more powerful than any starship, more lasting than any weapon. And Lyra, the alien girl who had frozen at a single word, had shown him that connection was possible even across worlds. The night was still, the city alive with soft energy. And somewhere in the patterns of Lyra's glow, Elias sensed the promise of tomorrow, of lessons learned, of bonds strengthened, and of a future where humans and Vailari could face the galaxy together, not as strangers, but as allies. The morning sun broke over the Vailari city with a brilliance that made the crystalline towers shimmer like a sea of liquid gemstones. Captain Elias Kane stood on the observation platform, watching the city come alive with movement. Today was meant to be another day of learning, another day of trust building with Lyra. But the tranquility of the Vailari world was about to be tested. Captain, Lieutenant Mara Jin said urgently, her voice tense over the comm. Sensors are detecting a rogue fleet approaching the system. Unknown vessels. Weapons active. Elias felt his stomach tighten. He had trained for crises, for alien threats, for the worst-case scenarios, but never for this. The Vailari had shown no signs of hostility, yet now their peaceful city was on the brink of attack. How close are they? Elias asked, eyes scanning the holographic display. Too close for diplomacy. Estimated arrival in 20 minutes, Mara replied. Elias exhaled slowly. Understood. Prepare defenses, alert the Vailari leadership, and find Lyra. He found Lyra at the Central Energy Network, the very devices they had worked on together the previous day. She was observing the energy flow with an intensity that belied her calm exterior, her glow pulsing rapidly with a mixture of fear and determination. Lyra, Elias said, stepping forward, careful not to startle her. We have a situation. A hostile fleet is approaching. We need to protect your city. Her eyes widened, patterns flashing across her skin. Hostile fleet? They destroy everything? Yes, Elias said. But we can fight together. Humans and Vailari can stand united. Will you help me? Lyra paused, and for a moment, Elias feared hesitation. Then her glow stabilized, patterns forming a wave of resolve. She nodded. Yes. Together. The city mobilized quickly, humans and Vylari working side by side. The Vylari activated defensive energy shields, while the humans deployed small, starships in strategic positions above the city. Elias coordinated the efforts, relying on his knowledge of both human tactics and the patterns he had learned from Lyra. "Captain," Mara said, her voice sharp with concern, "the fleet is entering orbit. Sensors indicate heavy weapons. This won't be easy." Elias nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. He turned to Lyra. "We'll need to synchronize our efforts. I need you to guide the energy network. Your control of the flow, it can turn the tide." Lyra's glow pulsed brightly. "I understand. Focus. Energy. Protect. City." Together they began. Lyra channeled energy from the network, directing pulses that fed the city's shields. Elias relayed commands to the human fleet, coordinating attacks on the incoming vessels while keeping civilian areas protected. The synergy between human strategy and Vylari intuition was extraordinary, a fusion of two species' strengths. The first wave of attackers arrived. Their ships were sleek, dark, and armed with plasma weapons designed to cut through conventional defenses. Elias's heart raced as lasers streaked across space, striking shields that shimmered under Lyra's control. "Focus the energy here," Elias shouted, pointing to a weak point in the defensive grid. Lyra's patterns responded instantly, arcs of light directing power to the failing section. The shield strengthened, absorbing the attack. Elias watched, amazed at her skill, at the way her understanding of energy complemented human technology. The rogue ships pressed harder, sensing resistance. Explosions rocked the outskirts of the city, sparks of energy dancing across the towers. Civilians scrambled to safety, protected by Vylari fields and human coordination. Elias gritted his teeth. "Hold your positions, we can do this." Lyra's glow pulsed rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat. She whispered a series of words in Vylari: encouragement, focus, strength. Elias didn't understand them fully, but he felt their intent. He mirrored her calm focus, coordinating human and Vylari defenses seamlessly. Hours passed like minutes. The rogue fleet pressed relentlessly, but the combined efforts of humans and Vylari began to turn the tide. Elias marveled at the Vylari's natural aptitude for energy manipulation, their intuitive connection to the planet's network, and at how his own leadership skills complemented their abilities. At one critical moment, a massive weapon vessel broke through the outer defenses, heading straight for the city's core. Elias realized this could end everything they had fought for. "Lyra," he shouted, "we need maximum energy output. Channel everything into the shields now." Her glow flared like the sun, patterns flashing with intensity. Elias watched in awe as energy cascaded from her hands into the shield network, pulsing across the city. The rogue ship's attack struck, the shield and rebounded, the vessel destabilizing from the feedback. "It worked," Mara shouted over comms. "The vessel is breaking apart." Lyra's glow dimmed slightly, relief washing over her features. She had poured everything she could into the shield, risking herself for the city. Elias stepped closer. "You did it, Lyra. You saved them, all of them." She looked at him, eyes wide, and whispered again in Vylari. "We, together, strong, because we trust." Elias smiled, feeling warmth spread through him. "Yes, Lyra, trust is our greatest weapon." By late afternoon, the rogue fleet had retreated. The city was battered but standing, the combined defenses of humans and Vylari proving too strong for the attackers. Citizens emerged cautiously, observing the survivors' cooperation with gratitude and awe. Elias and Lyra walked together through the plaza, inspecting the damage. Elias noticed how the Vylari were helping each other, their natural empathy and coordination amplified by the recent crisis. He felt a surge of pride. Humanity had proven itself not only capable of defense, but capable of partnership. "Lyra," Elias said gently, "your people are extraordinary, and today, humans have shown we can stand beside you, not above you, not below, but together." She looked at him, patterns of light flowing slowly along her arms. Yes. Together. You. Humans. Different than I expected. Strong, not just in body, but heart. Elias nodded, feeling the weight of her words. The compliment carried the same sincerity and depth as her whispered words before. It was a recognition of humanity's true value, courage, empathy, and the willingness to act for others. As evening fell, the city gathered to celebrate survival and unity. Humans and Vailari shared meals, exchanged knowledge, and repaired damages. Together, Elias and Lyra stood apart from the crowd, observing quietly. You led humans? Well, Lyra said softly, and guided us. Today, we saw strength in unity. Elias smiled. It was not just me. It was all of us, humans, Vailari, working together. That is what makes us strong. That is what makes us capable of anything. Her glow pulsed faintly, almost like a heartbeat in rhythm with his own. I will remember this. Humans were the allies. Elias's chest tightened with emotion. These words, spoken in her language, carried the weight of trust, respect, and shared triumph. Across the vastness of space, two species had faced a threat and emerged united. The galaxy, he realized, was not just a place of danger and conflict. It was a place of connection, of learning, and of extraordinary potential. That night, Elias returned to the Aurora, exhausted but exhilarated. He replayed the day's events. In his mind, Lyra's guidance, the synchronized defenses, the trust and courage displayed by both humans and Vailari. He understood now that humanity's greatest strength was not the technology aboard his ship, nor the weapons humans could wield. It was the ability to form bonds, to act with integrity, and to inspire trust even across worlds. Lyra's whispered words from the morning echoed in his mind. We, together, strong, because we trust. Elias smiled, knowing that those words would stay with him forever. Trust, he realized, was more powerful than any shield or weapon. It was the force that could bridge species, cultures, and galaxies. He glanced at the stars beyond the observation deck, glittering with infinite possibilities. Tomorrow, he knew, would bring new challenges, new lessons, and perhaps new dangers. But tonight, humanity had proven its worth, not as conquerors, not as outsiders, but as allies capable of courage, empathy, and unity. And somewhere on the Vailari world, Lyra watched the twin moons rise, her glow softening with quiet satisfaction. She had seen humans at their best, and she had learned that courage and heart could come in forms she had never expected. The galaxy had opened to them both, and the bond formed in the heat of crisis would guide them forward. Elias and Lyra, human and Vailari, had discovered something extraordinary. Together, they could face anything. The night was calm. The city, quiet except for the hum of residual energy. And as they each reflected on the day's trials, one thought remained clear in both their minds. Unity, courage, and trust could overcome even the greatest threats. The morning sun rose over the Vailari city with soft golden hues, reflecting on the crystalline towers and shimmering rivers below. Captain Elias Kane stood on the observation deck of the Aurora, his mind replaying the events of the past few days. Humanity had proven itself, not through weapons or conquest, but through courage, honesty, and a willingness to connect. Lyra arrived quietly, her glow calm and gentle, patterns flowing in graceful waves. She stood beside him, watching the city awaken. Elias turned to her. "Good morning, Lyra. How are you today?" "I am at peace," she replied slowly. "The city, humans, and I survived because we worked together." Elias smiled. "Yes, and today, I want to continue learning from you, not just as allies but as friends." Her glow pulsed softly, a response he had come to recognize as warmth. Friends, meaning trust, care, together. Exactly, Elias said. Trust and care make bonds stronger than technology, stronger than any fleet. We are together in this. Lyra tilted her head, her eyes reflecting both curiosity and understanding. Then, we continue learning together. The day began with simple lessons, observation exercises, and shared experiences. Humans and Valari worked side by side, repairing minor damages from the rogue fleet's attack and strengthening the energy networks across the city. Elias and Lyra moved together, teaching and learning from one another. Humans. Curious. Persistent, Lyra said as she guided him through delicate adjustments to a reflective energy device. You do not give up, even when difficult. Elias nodded. That is what makes us human. We try, and we keep trying, even if the odds are against us, and we care about others. That is what helps us succeed. Her glow brightened slightly, patterns rippling in a way that conveyed both approval and amazement. Yes, care, important, and power. Not destructive, but constructive. By midday, the Vailari leadership requested a formal gathering to honor the humans' efforts during the recent crisis. The central plaza filled with citizens and dignitaries, all observing the humans and Vailari together. Elias and Lyra stood side by side, a symbol of unity between two species. The Vailari elder, a figure of serene presence, approached. Captain Elias Kane, they said, voice resonating like soft wind through crystal. Humans have shown courage, wisdom, and heart. You have acted not only as allies but as friends. Today your deeds will be remembered among our people. Elias bowed respectfully. Thank you. But it was not my actions alone. It was all of us, humans and Valari, working together. That is the true strength of cooperation. Lyra stepped forward, her glow brighter than ever. And I witnessed human courage, heart, honesty. You are different than expected and worthy of trust. The citizens and leaders around them murmured in approval. Elias felt a warmth in his chest, a mixture of pride and humility. Humanity had proven that connection, integrity, and courage could cross even the vastest gulf of worlds. After the ceremony, Elias and Lyra moved to the quiet overlook where they had shared whispered words days before. The city below glimmered, in soft light, energy flowing through it like a living river. Elias felt a deep sense of accomplishment but also anticipation. Lyra, he said softly, we have faced threats, learned together, and proven our bond, but I feel there is more we can do, more to explore, together. Her glow pulsed with interest. Explore. Together. Meaning. Journey. Understanding. Future? Yes, Elias replied. We can continue to learn from each other, strengthen our bond, and show the galaxy that humanity is more than explorers or warriors. We can show that humans care, that we persevere, that we connect. Lyra's patterns shimmered with a light that conveyed both trust and excitement. Then, we continue, not just here, but beyond worlds. Together, Elias felt a profound sense of hope. Across the stars, two species had formed a bond that could shape the future, a connection built on trust, courage, and empathy. That afternoon, they visited the energy network one final time before departure. Elias watched Lyra channel energy with effortless grace, every movement precise, every pulse controlled. He mirrored her actions, feeling the subtle rhythm of the planet's energy and the harmony between their efforts. You improved quickly, Lyra said, observing him. Human persistence and heart remarkable, Elias chuckled. And you, patience and guidance. Extraordinary. I could not have done this without you. Their eyes met, and for a moment words were unnecessary. The bond they had formed spoke louder than language. It was trust, mutual respect, and shared experience, forged through challenge and understanding. You said yesterday, trust. Our greatest weapon, Lyra whispered. Elias nodded. Yes. Trust allows us to work together, to protect each other, and to achieve what no one could alone. Her glow brightened, and for the first time, Elias saw what he could only describe as a smile in the movement of her patterns. Then, we, strongest, together, trust, heart. As evening fell, Elias and Lyra walked through the city, observing humans and Vailari sharing knowledge and repairing damage. Children played under the soft glow of the energy streams, learning from both species. Humans taught the Vailari basic engineering techniques, while the Vailari demonstrated the subtleties of energy manipulation. Elias turned to Lyra. Do you see this? Humans and Vailari learning from each other, working together. This is what the galaxy needs. A chance to connect, to understand, to build rather than destroy. Lyra's glow pulsed softly, her gaze reflecting the city lights. Yes, humans capable of great good. When heart guides, Elias smiled. Then we continue. Together we show the galaxy what humans are truly capable of. Not as conquerors, but as allies, friends, and partners. She reached out, allowing him to mimic a sequence of gestures that conveyed unity and friendship. He mirrored them perfectly, and her glow flared in approval. They were no longer teacher and student, observer and guide. They were equals, bonded across worlds. Later that night, Elias and Lyra returned to the overlook. The twin moons reflected on the crystalline rivers, casting light that danced across the towers. Elias looked at her, his heart full. Lyra, he said softly, when I first called you beautiful, you froze. Today I understand why. Your words, your glow, your trust, they are more powerful than I ever imagined, and I will never forget them. Her patterns shifted gently, a flicker of emotion. And I will never forget your courage, your heart, your honesty, you human, different, worthy. Elias felt a profound sense of gratitude. Across the galaxy, through challenge and learning, through trust and understanding, they had formed a bond that transcended species. Humanity had shown its true strength, courage, empathy, and the ability to connect beyond boundaries. Lyra, he said, we have faced danger, learned together, and proven what humans can do. But this bond is what matters most. No matter the stars between us, we are connected. Her glow pulsed rhythmically, a silent affirmation. Connected, together, heart, trust, future. Elias nodded. Then we continue, together, and the galaxy will see what humanity is truly capable of. The city slept beneath the twin moons, quiet and secure. Humans and Vailari rested, proud of their accomplishments, ready for the challenges of tomorrow. Elias stood with Lyra, watching the gentle hum of energy flow through the towers, reflecting the harmony they had created. He realized something that went beyond any mission or fleet command. Humanity's true power lay not in technology or weapons, but in courage, honesty, and the willingness to care. And Lyra had shown him that across worlds, across species, these qualities could create bonds stronger than steel, deeper than any ocean, and more enduring than any star. You showed me, humans, different and strong in heart, Lyra whispered. And you showed me the power of trust, of understanding, and the beauty of connection, Elias replied. In the quiet night, they stood together, human and Vailari, bonded by challenge, trust, and mutual respect. The galaxy stretched out before them, vast and full of possibility. Together they would face it, not as strangers, not as conquerors, but as allies, friends, and pioneers of understanding. And somewhere deep in the patterns of Lyra's glow, Elias knew, was the unspoken promise of a future built on courage, heart, and the enduring power of trust. The stars above sparkled like never before, infinite and endless, reflecting the bond of two species who had discovered that even across the greatest distances, understanding, empathy, and honesty could change the course of worlds. Elias took a deep breath, feeling the hum of the city beneath his feet and the quiet warmth of Lyra beside him. Humanity had truly arrived, not to conquer, but to connect, to inspire, and to prove that across the universe, heart could outshine any weapon, and courage could outlast any threat. Lyra's soft whisper drifted to him once more. Together, always, heart, trust, future. And Elias knew without doubt that this was only the beginning.